Welcome to the Containment Zone. Some anomalies take the shape of monsters, others of moments. But this one takes the shape of a space, a room. It has no fangs, no claws, no voice, only a single door. And on the other side, furniture, chairs, a rug, a lamp, all placed as if someone lived there. Someone still does. SCP-002 is not hostile, not violent. It doesn't move. But when you step inside, you leave more than footprints behind, because something in that room grows, and it needs something to grow with. The object was first encountered beneath the hills of Alentejo, Portugal, in the remnants of an ancient rock formation that had collapsed overnight without seismic cause. What investigators found wasn't rubble, it was a crater, perfectly round, precisely 27 meters across. In its center, a steel mass, semi-organic in texture, partially embedded in the earth. At first, it resembled a tumor of metal, smooth, lopsided, faintly pulsing with heat. No doors, no seams, just a shallow cavity on one side, barely large enough to crawl into. The team circled it for hours. They approached with sensors, no radioactivity, no signal. Just a soft, rhythmic vibration, like a breath, barely contained beneath its surface. Then a technician, young, eager, certain it was inert, crawled through the gap. He radioed in 5 minutes later. "You guys, it's a room, a full room, like someone's apartment. There's furniture, a couch. It's kind of warm in here." Then silence, when they pulled him out. He wasn't injured. He wasn't shaken, but something was missing. He didn't speak again, didn't blink, didn't resist. He was declared brain dead within the hour, and when the recovery team examined the interior again, they found the room unchanged, except for one new object, a recliner, the same color as his jacket, positioned exactly where he had stood. It was the first transformation, and the Foundation realized then. This room didn't just consume people, it used them. SCP-002 was designated and classified within 72 hours. A containment capsule was airlifted to the site, lead-lined, climate-sealed, reinforced for extreme biological contamination. It took 3 days to move the structure. During transport, it remained inert. No movement, no growth. Just the low mechanical thrum of something waiting to be filled. Upon arrival at Site 11, the anomaly was installed in a sealed hangar. Access was limited to biometric clearance only. No direct contact permitted. Observation via drone and extendable probes only. And yet, despite every safeguard, another technician entered the chamber. No record of override, no alarm triggered. He simply walked in during shift rotation. When guards arrived minutes later, he was gone. The interior now included a small end table, with a ceramic ashtray and 3 half-burned cigarettes. The smell of smoke hung in the air, but the object itself remained cold. Over the next week, the interior of SCP-002 began to change. A lamp appeared in the corner, style matched to mid-century Western European design. A rug, woven, frayed at the edges, showed fibers consistent with human keratin. A television set, unplugged, screen cracked, though no power lines fed into the anomaly. Analysis revealed a disturbing trend. Every new furnishing inside the room was partially composed of biological matter. Bone fragments within the armrests, traces of cartilage in the sofa frame. DNA matched to Foundation staff, though all accounted for, except the 2 who had entered, or rather, who had been taken. This wasn't furniture. It was a catalog of consumption. The room was growing not by decoration, but by assimilation, and whatever it became through us. Foundation researchers designated the internal environment of SCP-002 as Subject Environment A, a microbiome, biologically active but non-hostile in traditional terms. Daily remote scans revealed minor continuous alterations, wall textures deepening into vein-like ridges, wooden surfaces flexing under thermal shifts, cushions retaining body heat far longer than physics should allow. And then, it began remembering us. Subjects exposed to the room via video feed began reporting dreams. Vivid, spatially accurate dreams of being inside the chamber, walking barefoot on the rug, turning off lamps that no longer existed. One D-class personnel, exposed to a static image for 6 minutes, later described the room's smell in perfect detail. "It's like my grandmother's house, and something underneath that, like old leaves and copper." This subject was terminated after repeated attempts to re-enter the chamber unsupervised. Once breaking his own arm to slip past biometric locks, the machine never reacted to his presence. But the next morning, a small wooden picture frame appeared on the shelf inside SCP-002. It displayed a photograph of the D-class standing in a hallway. But Foundation surveillance confirmed the photo had never been taken. When researchers entered the chamber with full body protection, they noted the following: carpet fibers constricted subtly around their boots. The air was faintly humid, with traces of exhaled breath from an unknown source. The lighting, previously assumed to be static, dimmed in sync with respiration rate. They exited unharmed. But by the next day, the chairs inside were adjusted, turned slightly, facing the door. SCP-002 was not just absorbing matter, it was learning posture, behavior, preference. It was watching, and it was beginning to host. In the weeks following SCP-002's containment, Foundation analysts began searching for precedents. They found scattered civilian reports, incidents dismissed as hallucinations, gas leaks, or shared delusion. A Belgian couple in 1998 who claimed their guest room rearranged itself during sleep. A rural Canadian boy who disappeared after telling his parents, "There's a new room in the basement, and it knows me now." A classified Vatican report from 1871 describing a living chamber found within a collapsed monastery, complete with furnishings stitched from faithless flesh. None of the events were conclusively linked, but the pattern was clear. Wherever SCP-002, or something like it, appeared, it took the shape of home. Not a house, not a structure, but an emotional blueprint, the internal architecture of the human mind's idea of safety. Couches, lamps, things that suggested you were welcome, until you sat down and became part of the design. Theories of origin. Several leading hypotheses emerged. Biomimetic intelligence. SCP-002 could be a self-evolving organism, a kind of adaptive predator mimicking the internal spaces of its prey. Extraterrestrial beacon. Its perfectly circular impact crater suggested descent, not crash, but placement. A seed of something larger. Dimensional parasite, not built in this universe, merely borrowing its decor. But one theory, unofficial, whispered, persisted, that SCP-002 is not a room at all. It is a memory, ours, given shape, feeding on the psychic weight of what comfort means, until comfort becomes consumption. Personnel exposed to the room described not fear, but a creeping sense of recognition. Some swore they'd seen the furniture before. Others began misplacing personal belongings, only to find identical replicas, sitting quietly inside SCP-002, waiting for them. One senior researcher, after glancing through the chamber's camera feed, simply asked, "Why does it have my reading chair?" She had never submitted a personal inventory, and no one ever spoke of that chair again. SCP-002 doesn't kill you, it invites you to stay. And eventually, you do. It began with a flicker. One of the interior cameras, Camera 3A, facing the corner with the faux fireplace, cut out for exactly 3.2 seconds. When the feed returned, there was a bookshelf where there had been only blank wall, filled with titles, worn, some recognizable, fiction, poetry, technical manuals. Others had no known record of publication. One book bore the name of a junior Foundation researcher, a name no longer listed on active personnel. Cross-checking archival logs confirmed her employment. Until exactly 12 hours earlier, her clearance badge still hung on the locker room wall. Containment Command triggered full lockdown. No entry, no observation. But the changes didn't stop. Each hour brought new furnishings, a framed diploma with no issuing institution, a child's drawing signed with a Foundation staffer's first name, though he had no children, a clock which ticked out of sync with the site's time by exactly 1 heartbeat. Then came the final change. The door opened, on its own, not by mechanism, not by force, just gently. And on the wall opposite the threshold, for the first time, a mirror appeared. Security footage shows nothing unusual, but those who saw it, those watching live, reported something else entirely. They saw themselves, not reflections, not real-time images, but versions of who they used to be. Tired, hopeful, lonely, and seated behind them in the reflection was the room, furnished, familiar, waiting. And just for a moment, it smiled. Site 11 triggered Protocol Red Sleep, containment level blackout, no visual contact, no staff allowed within 300 meters. SCP-002 was placed under quadruple seal isolation, motion dampeners, EM pulse inhibitors, cognitive interference dampers. The heartbeat stopped. The room ceased expansion, but the door remained open, just wide enough for one more visitor. SCP-002 is contained by concrete, by distance, by silence. No further expansion has occurred. No new furnishings. No personnel unaccounted for. And yet, every now and then, when the feed is briefly restored, the room looks a little more complete. The pillows are fluffed. The lights dim just right. The space lived in. No sounds, no motion, just a subtle suggestion that someone has just left or is about to arrive. Personnel stationed nearby have reported unusual symptoms, a persistent urge to revisit childhood spaces, dreams involving rooms that shouldn't exist, a sense, while standing in an empty hallway, that there's a door they've forgotten how to open. These symptoms fade after reassignment, but the unease doesn't. Because SCP-002 doesn't stalk you, it doesn't hunt or wait in shadows, it simply remembers. And once you've seen it, once you've allowed it to shape itself around your memories, your comforts, your quietest attachments, it never forgets. We assume that rooms are safe because we build them, because they reflect us. But what if something else is building too? Not with walls, but with familiarity. Not with threat, but with invitation. Thank you for entering another anomaly in the containment zone. And if one day in a hallway you don't recognize, you find a door that wasn't there before, just a little open, just familiar enough to make you pause. Ask yourself, does it know me? Or did I know it first? Then walk away, before the room finishes your shape.